Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Marketing Minute. We're here in Toronto at the Connex again, and with us today is a special guest, Lindsay Tjepkema.
Well, we just finished one podcast a little while ago where we talked about ABM and how fascinating that was.
Right.
And Lindsay Tjepkema, I got it right, yay, walked by because I'm going to be doing a podcast.
You are? You're going to be on Marketer and Machine.
Yeah,
coming
with
up pretty
Marketer and
soon.
Machine. And you walked by and I said, let's do a podcast.
Let's do a podcast.
And so...
Probably helped that the microphones were all out on the table and everything too,
Yeah,
right?
that's true. Yeah, we were set up for it. But we thought that for this second episode, we would talk about, today was a little bit different than I had imagined for a content marketing conference.
Right.
Refreshingly different, I think.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it's been a good day so far.
I like the way that they introduced Ann Handley, Jay Bear, who's MC here.
Right.
Scott Stratton.
Yep.
Who am I missing?
Randy
Randy
Frisch.
Randy Frisch.
Yep, in his bug.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's about it, though.
I mean, but that's some big stars in
Oh,
the
yeah.
marketing field to have.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hit
And-
the point home.
Yeah, and they all kind of collaborated in it, and then each of them did their own presentation. Which one stood out to you, Lindsay?
Scott Stratton.
Yeah.
How could it not? On
Right.
marketing.
Right. Well,
Um,
just really casual, really to the point at times and
Yeah.
excitable.
And calling people out, right? I think
Yeah.
that it's really, really easy to get drawn into the hype, right? And how
Right.
what we feel like we should be doing, and influencer marketing, and how we feel like we should be interacting with our audience through big names. And I think it's far too easy for a lot of marketers to lose sight of not what we should be doing, but what's right.
Yeah.
And what's right by our audience, and what's right by just what's right.
Right. Well, he stuck to ethics today, and which is exactly what you're talking about. And he made the point that you don't get a second chance with ethics.
Yeah.
You lose it, it's gone. Your integrity's gone. Your reputation, the whole 9 yards, is gone. So you have to stick with that ethics and ethical behavior.
The company that always stands out to me, and he gave, of course, his examples of Bell, but I was thinking about Wells Fargo, and
Right.
the trouble that they got through. And then, so they did this huge campaign about, we're better now, we're changing. And then it happened
And
again.
then like two months later, they're right back in it. Right.
Yeah.
It's
right.
not a renewable resource.
Yeah.
That's
You know?
exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, and I think it speaks to the culture within an organization. How do you take a company that size, and by the time kind of bad habits, start arising, it's kind of too late. It's probably inbred in all of the management.
Those roots run deep, right?
Yeah. And so for companies, you got to start out with that.
It's a top-down thing.
Yeah.
It's got to start at the top, and you've got to hold, as CEO, management, you've got to hold everybody accountable to that same level. If you don't,
Yeah.
then it's gonna just decay from there. I'll never forget. I was leaving a company back in '99. Actually, it was end of '98. I was leaving a company, and I found out that one of the main consultants and one of the sales guys were working together to start their own company, and they were approaching the current company's customers. And I was leaving. I had already given my notice and everything, and I thought about it. If I was staying, would I have said something? Yes. And because of that, even though I was leaving, I said something.
Yeah.
It was the right thing to do, right? And the consultant guy came up to me because he was actually my boss. He says, "You're leaving. You're getting out of here. Why do you have to say anything?" He actually was a little more vulgar about it, but I won't say what he said. But I looked at him and I said, "It doesn't matter if I'm leaving or not. Right is right and wrong is wrong,
Yeah.
and that's why I said something." And the point is that if I hadn't said something, the company would have been damaged. I was leaving on good terms. It didn't matter. I didn't
Yeah.
want to hurt anybody.
Right.
And they were doing something wrong. It's as simple as
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So you got to hold to it, or else it just decays.
Yeah.
Sometimes the lines are I don't want to say grayed. From the outside looking in, it looks clear as day, right? Because the example that Scott gave was Bell Canada, basically writing reviews on its own app release.
Astroturfing.
Yeah, astroturfing.
I think was the term, yeah.
This is why we have the director of marketing here. We have the people that understand the lingo. But I can understand if you're inside a company, that
Right.
pressure, right? to produce maybe you spent $500,000 on a mobile app, and even if it's a crappy little mobile app, you just want a few reviews
For
up.
sure.
And so it was such an easy thing, I think, for it to happen. It probably wasn't some,
Wasn't maniacal.
Yeah, it wasn't baked conspiracy or anything like that. But
Well, and they're going, let's just review the app a couple of
Yeah.
times.
Right.
It's harmless for us to do so.
Yeah.
And where they screwed up was that they didn't disclose that they
Right.
were employees,
Right.
of Bell.
And obviously they didn't even think it was wrong because they used their real names
Yeah,
on the
and it was like, who
reviews.
cares?
Right.
And I think one thing that we talk about a lot on the Marketer Machine podcast is pressure, right?
Yeah.
And this pressure that we all as marketers feel every day, regardless of what industry you're in, whether you're B2C, B2B, agency, consulting, there is pressure. And with data comes opportunity, but also comes pressure, right?
Yeah.
And so we're all pushed to perform and to, like you said, get more ROI out of those investments, whether it is $500,000 in an app or hiring another head or investing in some new technology. That immediately upon making that investment or making that choice, that clock starts to tick of like, okay, when are we going to see those results? When are we going to see these reviews
How
come
are we
in?
going to get this back?
Right, and so I think that's how it happens. That's how you send an influencer a note that and don't see it through and bad things happen. That's how you're like, okay, everybody on the team, let's just write our own reviews. It's not a big deal. I think famous last words, right? It's not a big deal.
Right.
It all comes from that pressure, and I think that to your point about how it's got to be from the top down, like you just gave that example, and he said, why did you have to say anything?
Right.
That's still, you don't get it. Like this
And
cannot
that's
be
exactly
about.
it. He didn't get it at all. He thought I was the bad guy for
Right.
saying something, whereas he's literally going to steal all of the customers of the company that he's with.
Yeah.
So, and you can use the word steal or take or whatever you want, but he didn't get it because why did you have to say something?
Yeah.
Well, and I, you talked about influencer because it's one of the things that, like, you'll read almost in every other blog post that I write the relationship that I have with the company, and then if I write a really glowing review about a company that I don't have a relationship, I disclose that I don't have a relationship that I really like,
Right.
and it is surprising to me the number, and I'll say this. It's people that I respect in this industry too, that I read something that they put online and I go, I know that that's their client.
Yeah.
Like, say something.
Because to your point, I don't respect them any less for saying like, look, full disclosure, I'm working with ABC Incorporated, and I just have to brag on them a little bit because they're doing this really cool thing. Fine, then that it doesn't make me feel like something's fishy, and it's like, hey, but you see it through that lens.
Yeah.
And I don't think you lose anything with that.
But if you find out after the fact,
Then
if
it's
you
yucky.
read it and then later on you go, oh, that's their customer, or they got paid for that, you go,
So that means nothing now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Liken it to reading, used to be in magazines, you'd see this full-page thing, it looked just like a magazine article.
Yes.
And of course, at
And
the bottom,
tiny
The
print.
advertorials.
you get out your magnifying glass and it says, oh, this is an advertisement.
Yeah.
You get to the point where you recognize that, but you know that it's an advertisement.
Right.
So you don't feel as bad, but or you don't have that negative emotion with it.
Yeah.
All right, so this is when I can do a shameless plug of my client.
See, full
Okay.
disclosure.
So literally just probably 10 minutes ago, I tweeted because 120 Water Audit is a company that I've been helping. They do basically for municipalities to chart water. Most of the time, what cities would do is just send stuff off to a lab and have that paperwork sitting in a drawer somewhere. Well, now they have a platform basically to chart it all in, make it public, be compliant with laws, everything else. But he wrote this really nice post, Isaac Peller, and he's a friend of mine. And so I retweeted it with a comment, and I said, proud to be working for...
Yeah.
Right.
And you're right. To my audience, they don't mind that at all.
No.
They don't take that anyway.
Honestly, what it does is helps strengthen that relationship because it's honesty there, it's trust building, right? Because you're being upfront and honest about the whole thing,
Right.
Instead of trying to hide something or seem sneaky. You may not even be trying to hide it, but the fact that you left it out makes it seem like you were trying
guilt
to hide
by
it.
omission.
Exactly. It's an appearance of it. You know, it's not even intentional a lot of times, I'll say.
Yeah.
Not necessarily all the time, but a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's not even intentional, but you leave it out, and you're right, guilt by omission. You
Yeah.
know, so.
And one thing he was talking about today, Scott Stratton, that is, was being sneaky and
Right.
trying to trick. At what point did we get to the place where we're trying to trick people into
Yeah.
becoming our clients, right? And I, the first thing that came to my mind is the other day I received a piece of mail, as we all do, that looked like something it wasn't. Like it doesn't take a genius to know that
The
this
fake
was
credit card in the
the fake
envelope
credit
type
card
thing?
or
Yeah.
something that looks like it's handwritten and it's not.
Yeah.
And I held it up to my husband and I said, "Why? Why?
Yeah.
If they think that they can get me to open the mail, am I magically going to say, I'm so glad I opened
Yeah.
this, now I'm going to become a customer?" Like, when did we get to that place that we feel like we have to fool people
You
into
know,
paying
Or
attention
obligate
to us?
them, right? The other one is where they put the dollar or the or whatever, the nickel
Stamps.
in it,
Yeah.
or stamps in
Well,
it,
there's-
and you feel obligated
Right.
that you owe them something, right?
I think when I see a lot of that stuff, I think short-term gains, long-term losses, right?
Yeah.
It's that, like you were saying before, that pressure, that incredible pressure that, we just got to get people to open this envelope and look. And the problem is long-term, they haven't crafted a relationship around that prospect. And,
For sure.
and that's the bad part to me, is that, yeah, they might get that boost early, but long-term, they've lost the respect of their customer
Yeah.
Well, and that's
or
a lot like
prospect.
public companies anyway. They're always searching to make sure that their next quarterly earnings report is good.
Yeah.
But sometimes they will take drastic measures that hurt their current,
Sure.
or their long-term
Yeah.
metrics. You know, so
There's that saying, show me what you measure and I'll show you how you behave.
Yeah.
where
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not from me,
Yeah.
but I wish I could take ownership of that. But that's far
Yeah.
far bigger than me. But it's so true, because if we're being measured by open rate or
Right.
click rate or traffic, if somehow we knew who was opening those envelopes, right? If you're measuring that, that's all you care about. And I think that's where we've lost sight of it, where
Yeah.
we're not thinking about the person at the other end. We're not thinking about the customer lifetime value. We're thinking about the open rate.
right.
And I mean, my agency has made those mistakes before.
Oh, we all have. for
We
sure.
had a client, Stiley, that we were doing
Right.
a ton of work for. They
Right.
have a platform for basically beauticians that are by themselves to manage, their clients and schedule and everything else. And so one of the things that they wanted to do was collaboratively, they wanted to really go after Instagram. It's a visual medium, tons of hairdressers, salons on it, everything else. And so we did. We went full force. We created this beautiful contest, everything else.
Yeah.
It took off. It hit a record for the number of views and and likes and everything else. But no butts in seats. Like
Right, well,
nobody,
and that-
nobody starting a trial. And
Exactly.
And ultimately, it didn't matter. Obviously there was maybe some awareness piece to it, but ultimately it did not matter to the company's
Well, and that's what
bottom
Stratton
line.
was talking about today, right? He was talking about moving the needle, right? You can get 23 million views, 32 million reach, and still not move the needle at all.
I still want that many though.
I know.
I
That's
would like
because
to.
you would run Google ads on it.
Yeah, I would like to create some stupid meme and get 25 million
Yeah,
views.
no
It'd be
kidding,
nice.
right? But-
Not that I was calling Scott stupid.
No, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
But the point is it didn't move the needle
What's
any.
the point?
And what you have to do is you have to decide which needles you want to move. Do you want more customers, and then you have to gear everything towards that. And just because something takes off and goes viral or whatever, doesn't matter
Yeah.
if it doesn't move that needle. You have to go do something else in order to move the needle.
Right.
So
it was. I've seen Scott, I think, speak like 5 times now, and I always hear tidbits from his previous speeches, and he's so theatrical.
Right.
He should really be an actor. Except that maybe he doesn't know how to act, because it's Scott when you get
it's
him up
not an
there.
act. It's
Yeah.
all him. 100% natural.
But if folks are listening, I do want to do a shout out that Scott's been on the show before, but it was awesome. He does you can tell he puts in the time and effort into everything about his speeches, the message, the humor, the theatrics, everything.
Right,
so
right.
shout out. Hire him for a keynote. There you go. There's your
Agreed.
content
And you're
call
not
to
currently
action.
working with him, are you?
No,
And
I'm
none of
not.
us are affiliated with him in any way.
Absolutely not.
Fantastic. Well, what are you looking forward to next, Lindsay?
I gotta say, I am excited about Joey Coleman. I think he's coming up tomorrow.
Okay.
If you have not read his book, Never Lose a Customer Again, do it.
Okay.
I read it. I convinced our leadership team at Amarsis to read it. I hope that I can speak for them all and say we all loved it. And I had a chance to talk with him a little bit at a break, and he's a cool guy. The book is great. I'm excited to hear him talk.
What was the book again?
Never Lose a Customer Again.
All right, I'm
We'll
gonna
put that in
on
the
my
show
list.
notes. Yeah, we'll
It's a
put
good
it
one.
in the show notes.
It's a very good one.
Well, Lindsay, thank you for joining
Thanks
us.
for having me.
Yeah, it's
Oh, it
been
won't be
fun.
the last time either. So
Yeah.
this is fantastic, and we'll try to do a few more from here before the end of the conference as well. So if you're around, we'll pull you in.
Sounds
So,
great.
All right.
That's great.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thanks everybody for listening. Make sure you rate or review us online because that keeps us going.
Yep.
And we don't have to ask our friends to do it. No,
And
I'm
they're,
just
and
kidding.
they're real reviews. So I'll get you that review later today.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
we're still recording. Okay.
There you go.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening to the Real Estate Marketing Minute. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time.